Storytime with Squashbox. Storytime with Squashbox. Storytime with Squashbox. Storytime with Squashbox.
Hello everybody and welcome to Squashbox Storytime. Once upon a time there was a pigeon, and this pigeon's name was Alexander. Now, Alexander the pigeon lived on a white-topped mountain. Now, Alexander the pigeon loved living on top of this mountain because he thought it was colossal. It was a colossal mountain. It was the biggest mountain in the world. And from the top of the mountain, Alexander the pigeon could see everything. Every day he would stand on the top of his mountain and gaze at the world around him. And sometimes friends of his would visit him on the mountain. One of his best friends was a little frog. And this little frog would bounce and jump all the way up to the top of the mountain every day to say hello to Alexander the pigeon. And this little frog's name was Pooty McGrooty. Now, Pooty McGrooty and Alexander the pigeon were great friends, and they would play lots of games together and have a wonderful time. But one day, Pooty McGrooty the frog turned to Alexander the pigeon and said something very surprising. He said, "Well, blow me down with a tickle stick." "What is it, Pooty McGrooty?" said Alexander the pigeon. "What's happened?" "Well," said Pooty McGrooty, "cripes! Yes, I know you're excited, but what is it? What is it, Pooty McGrooty?" Well, Pooty McGrooty the frog gathered himself together and finally he told Alexander the pigeon what was going on. "Oh, you juicy little beetroot." "What?" said Alexander the pigeon. "Beetroot? But we don't have any beetroot, and I know that's your favourite food. Are you so hungry that you're seeing me as a beetroot?" "Yes," said Pooty McGrooty, "I'm starving. I really want some beetroot. It's my favourite food." "Okay," said Alexander the pigeon. "We're going to have to find you some juicy beetroot. Let me see if I can fly around and see if I can find any juicy beetroot lying around." Well, at this, Pooty McGrooty the frog was feeling fluffy. He felt all fluffy inside. He was so happy at what his friend Alexander was going to do. So Alexander got himself ready to take off from the top of the mountain. He was feeling sharp. He was very, very sharp. His eyesight was keen. His senses were alert. He knew that he could find some juicy beetroot for his little friend Pooty McGrooty the frog. And so he spread his wings and leapt from the colossal white-topped mountain. He started looking for places where he might find some juicy beetroot. And with his sharp vision, far down below, he saw an amazing place. It was a very hot beach. And on this beach, he could see someone lying out in the sun, enjoying the weather. It was a dancing bear. But this dancing bear wasn't dancing. No, this dancing bear was sunbathing on the very hot beach. So Alexander the pigeon swooped down. He was really enjoying flying. He was feeling quite cheeky as he landed next to the dancing bear and said, "Hello, dancing bear. My name is Alexander the pigeon. Do you have any juicy beetroot for my friend Pooty McGrooty the frog?" At this, the dancing bear woke up. He saw Alexander the pigeon and he exclaimed, "Open the trapdoor!" What's going on, thought Alexander the pigeon. But at that moment, a trapdoor opened beneath the sand. Alexander the pigeon hadn't seen it because it was covered in sand. He fell through the trapdoor. It was a trap. The dancing bear, whose name, we haven't worked that out yet, was it? Whose name was Inky Intorium, or the famous dancing bear Inky Inktorium. It was a trap set by him, and poor old Alexander the Pigeon went falling through the trapdoor and landed far below in a playground. Oh, he thought, well, it's nice to be in a playground, but am I going to be trapped here forever? They've probably built this playground to entertain people that fall into their traps. And sure enough, as he looked around him, he saw many other characters sadly playing in the playground, going down the slide, swinging on the swings, going round the roundabout. They were all prisoners of Inky Inktorium, the notorious dancing bear. Who were these other characters in the playground, you may be wondering? Well, there on the slide, he saw a little earwig. And swinging on the swing, he saw a sad little giraffe. And going round the roundabout, he saw a bionic fly. There was lots of little animals, the bionic fly, the giraffe, the earwig, and now Alexander the Pigeon, all trapped in this underground playground. Will I never find any juicy beetroot for my friend Pooty McGrooty the frog back on the white top colossal mountain, thought Alexander the Pigeon. He knew he would have to escape. He gathered all the animals together and said, listen, friends, it's no good just being sad here and playing in this sad playground. We have to come up with a plan. Bionic fly, surely you can use your bionic powers to fly up to the trapdoor and push your way out. I don't know if I can, said Bionic Fly. You see, I'm feeling smelly today. Oh, you've lost all your confidence, haven't you, said Alexander the Pigeon. You're not smelly, you're fantastic, you're bionic, and here are some words of encouragement. Wibble wobble. And at those words, the bionic fly summoned all his courage and zoomed with his bionic fly powers up to the trapdoor. He burst through the trapdoor. They could hear a terrific scuffle up ahead. The bionic fly was fighting Inky Inktorium, the notorious dancing bear. Then there was silence. Which one of them had won the battle? And then they saw little bionic fly's face poke over the trapdoor and say, "It's time to come out. I've beaten the dancing bear." And he tossed a little rope ladder down into the playground. Well, the giraffe, the earwig, and Alexander the Pigeon all found their way up the rope ladder. I don't know why Alexander the Pigeon had to go up a rope ladder, because he can fly. But anyway, he just joined in with the others, and they got out. And there they found the dancing bear, dazed on the floor. What had happened is that the bionic fly had used his bionic powers to whiz round the dancing bear and make him so dizzy he'd fallen over. Well, Alexander the Pigeon stood over naughty Inky Inktorium, the dancing bear, and said, "You have to stop trapping people with your trapdoor and putting them in your underground playground. It's not very nice. Why are you doing this?" "I'm sorry," said Inky Inktorium, the dancing bear. "I just want some friends to dance with, and I don't know how to make friends." "Well, why don't you dance?" said Alexander the Pigeon. "That's a great way to make friends." "You're right," said Inky Inktorium, the dancing bear, and he began dancing. And then all the others were so pleased they began dancing as well. The little earwig did a little earwig dance, and this made him feel very hot, because it was still quite a hot beach. The little giraffe did a little dance. This made him feel tiny. Even though he was a giraffe with a long neck, he was a very tiny giraffe. The bionic fly started doing a little dance, and this made him feel exhausted. Because it was still a very hot beach. And Alexander the Pigeon, he danced as well. And then he suddenly remembered, "Oh, I need to find some juicy beetroot for my friend Pooty McGrooty the frog on top of the mountain. Inky Inktorium, dancing bear, do you have any juicy beetroot?" "Why, yes," said Inky Inktorium, the dancing bear. "I've got loads of beetroot. It's my favourite food. And I have plenty to spare. Would you like some?" "Yes, please," said Alexander the Pigeon. Well, he got a basket full of beetroot, and holding it with his little claws, he flew all the way back up to the colossal white-topped mountain. And there he landed in front of his friend Pooty McGrooty the frog, who had been waiting ages for his juicy beetroot, feeling quite starstruck. He was so impressed that Alexander the Pigeon had arrived, and he was so pleased when he saw the juicy beetroot. Well, Alexander the Pigeon told Pooty McGrooty the Frog about his amazing adventure. They sat and ate juicy beetroot for hours. They invited all the other friends up to come and dance with them on top of the mountain, and they had a wonderful time. And as the sun was setting, surrounded by all his friends, Alexander the Pigeon raised his head to the skies and said, "See my big tummy!" And that is the end of Squashbox Storytime. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Storytime with Squashbox. Storytime with Squashbox. Storytime with Squashbox. Storytime with Squashbox.